Hi, this is Ren,
This is Casey,
and this is All Walks of Film.
and we saw the new Star Wars movie yesterday. So, real quick, no spoilers, what our basic thought was, yes or no. Ren?
Yes.
Yes.
The Force is strong with this film.
Yeah, the only thing I will say about this film to anyone who hasn't seen it is it belongs right next to 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, and especially for people who don't like the prequels, don't let the prequels discourage you from watching these movies. George Lucas had very little input in these movies, and quite frankly, George Lucas hasn't done anything good since Star Wars.
And especially since the best Star Wars movie, he had very little involvement with as well.
Okay, well, actually, I take that back. Indiana Jones was awesome, except the
last
fourth
one.
Oh, God.
The other thing too was I was really not looking forward to this film, not because of the prequels and not because no George Lucas, but because of Disney. Disney fucked up the Muppets really badly. They don't give a shit. I'm also really not happy with what they're doing with the MCU. I really don't like their game plan. It's boring as fuck. I was like, oh shit, Disney got a hold of Star Wars. This is gonna blow.
Yeah,
No, I mean, really. It doesn't feel like a Disney film. It doesn't feel like they were just like, all right, cash grabbing, we don't give a fuck. So
we're just gonna get that every year with the.
We'll just get it from now on.
Right, we'll get it from now on. Probably not with 7, 8, and 9, but with the Disney Star Wars movies that are coming in between. Because next year, Gareth Edwards, the master filmmaker, quote unquote, behind Godzilla, is directing a Star Wars movie.
I really hate this guy. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be none of the characters that you want to see and no aliens. And there will be 8 minutes of action. And there'll just be a lot of people
sitting
not
at
doing
panels,
anything.
Sitting at panels, looking at small screens,
Gareth
seeing the TIE
Edwards.
Fighter battles.
Gareth Edwards might make like a prequel style movie where it's like all this shit about trading laws and shit like that nobody gives a shit about.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I hear Gareth Edwards and it's like that episode of South Park where Stan turns 10 and all he hears is shit. I just hear Gareth Edwards, it's like...
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a fair assumption.
Anyways, so from here on out, there will be spoilers and a lot of them. Please just don't. But if you just want a yes or a no, yes.
Yeah, go see the movie. The theaters will probably be packed for a long time.
Oh, I will say this. There's not really a need to see this movie in 3D. Like, XD, yes, and IMAX, yes, but 3D, not really.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple cool 3D effects in the beginning, but, like...
Even, like, the opening scroll didn't look like anything in 3D.
The 3D wasn't, like...
They didn't do anything with 3D. There's no point in seeing it in 3D, so...
3D is just a trick cash grab for you.
Yeah, and if you have glasses like me, it's just going to give you a headache for no reason, so...
Yeah.
So, moving on into spoilers. First of all, let's talk about the good stuff first. I really liked almost all of the new additions to the film. And I liked seeing all the old characters again. And in general, I really liked the mood and the tone of the film. So, yeah. I love Rey and Finn. And I thought I was gonna hate BB-8, especially since the first time I saw him, I'm like, what the fuck is this? I like BB-8. I think the comparison to Scrappy-Doo is really mean.
I did like the line that Han Solo said where he was like, hey, ball.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah. Finn is awesome. I really like him, and one thing I mentioned to you before was this film is really good about writing characters who are people and not archetypes. And that goes for Finn too, because he's not the stoic male, and he's not the goofy male, and he's not the fuck up male. Like, he's just a person. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, Rey is exactly like that too. Pretty much everyone I know is like, oh, she's gonna be like this, oh, I am woman, hear me roar. I'm just so badass because I'm a chick, or whatever the fuck, you know. No, she's a person. She happens to be female, but that's not any sort of defining characteristic of hers. It's not like she's like Black Widow, where she's like, I'm the hot babe with a blaster. That makes me cool.
And I thought it was a really smart choice for them to desexualize such a pretty actress.
She was way too pretty for the part. But yeah, they did nothing to feminize her in any way. And I really like her because I'm a scrappy chick. And scrapper characters in movies and books are not women. Even if they hang out with scrappers, they themselves never are. And it was really cool to see this chick who is just kind of like not really feminine at all. I liked it. And the other thing too is even androgynous women or women who are like badass fighters, they always have like some sort of higher position of power to offset that. Like even Furiosa had a high political position.
Yeah.
She's fucking nothing. She's like a street rat essentially, like that sort of character.
The only issue that I have is her very proper heavy British accent.
Oh my god. Stop taking my hand! It's like, oh my god.
Took away from the class of character that she was.
Yes, I agree.
Because that sounds like somebody who like has wealth. Her accent sounds like somebody who has money.
Yeah, and it was really interesting. I don't know.
If you're gonna have an accent, you know, have it like. I mean, if you're gonna go with British accents and stuff like that, give her a Cockney accent or something.
Yeah, something that sounds really rough. Yeah.
Yeah. Or have her speak broken English, or just have her speak like Southern American, you know, if you're going to give her an accent.
Yeah.
You didn't really need to give her an accent, especially not a British accent.
Especially when she's playing right next to Finn, who is a British actor and is giving an extremely convincing American accent.
Yeah, and if you ever watch Attack the Block, I mean, like, he has a really heavy accent. And,
yeah.
I mean...
It did not seem like that at all. I was thinking this whole movie, like, oh, he had a British accent for that movie, but he's really American, and must be it.
Yeah.
And then you told me later, no, he's totally British. I'm like, no. It sounds natural.
Yeah, and, I mean, I know that's a nitpick, and some people will be like, oh, you know, blah, blah, blah.
No, it's really weird.
But yeah, there's a class thing with it. You know, if she's going to be a scrapper, like, why is she speaking with this very proper British accent?
Yeah, or you could at least, like, mess with her grammar. Make her sound, like, really rough.
Yeah, especially, or if you're going to have that, have somebody else who speaks with that dialect on the planet of Jakku, where she's from.
Yeah.
So that I can understand that other people talk like that.
No, because she was left on that planet by her parents. It's possible that her parents spoke that way. And she was, like, old enough at that point. She wasn't, like, a little baby.
Well,
she was, like, 6.
Look at Game of Thrones. Jon Snow is hanging out with,
Oh, the wildlings!
Yeah.
Yeah, he's hanging out with the wildlings.
Yeah, Jon Snow is hanging out with the wildlings. He hangs out with them for, what, like a year?
Something like that, yeah.
And
you know, it has cave sex.
Yeah, and he has wonderful cave sex with a hot redhead. And then his accent changes.
No, that's true.
That's what happens. People, when they're thrown into an environment, their accent will change. Sometimes, some people are subtle. Some people, their accents will just pick up what other people's are.
It's like how my southern twang only comes out after I've been watching a lot of Firefly. People always are like, oh, but you're from Texas. You don't sound like you're from Texas. I'm like, no, I get that more from Firefly than anywhere else. Seriously, you guys.
All right, so that's a nitpick. Moving on.
Let's talk about Finn, because, okay, Rey was awesome, and I liked her, and she was super cool, but Finn was really cool. God damn. Even though he's also my biggest problem with the movie.
I like the fact that Finn introduced a level of humanity that stormtroopers that we've never seen.
Right off the bat, that was super awesome to have moral heft in a Star Wars film, but also because let's face it, the original trilogy does make war and shooting people up look fun and cool. It does, and I'm not saying there's anything inherently
but there's also
wrong
like very
with that.
little weight to it, just because
There's
like the direction.
There's so little weight to it, and I'm not saying that's wrong, But I'm saying if you're trying to evolve it a little bit, that's a good direction to go to make that have more moral weight. But
it's also cool to see a stormtrooper with his helmet off and go, oh, well, thank God they're not all fucking Jango Fett clones.
Well, yeah, that's true. But they do make a distinction that there is a clone army and there is a human army. And this was kind of a risk for them to even have a human clone army, so they sort of address that. But my other thing is, you had that moral heft attached to not only someone who's in the films and in that universe like cold and heartless and faceless and completely unemotional, but to somebody that we in the audience are all associating with Nazis.
Yeah.
That is really dark. I really liked everything in that beginning with the devastation of the village and his reaction where he's shaking and he has the blood of his friends on his face and he doesn't know what to do and he's sort of pantomiming all the moves. That was cool. Like, he sees everybody else gets their gun out and he gets his gun out, but he doesn't shoot. He just sort of stands there and is like, I can't do this. It was super cool. I loved all of that.
Yeah, and then Kylo's reaction where he sees all of that and he doesn't...
guy. We gotta watch him. He's gonna run. Yeah. The other thing
But he doesn't do anything about it either. Like, he just kind of, like, looks at him and then, like, walks off.
Mental bookmark. Yeah. The other interesting, too, is that the same way that Ren is a traditionally masculine character, Finn's character type of somebody who has been raised all their life to become a human weapon and wants to get out is a very feminine role in American science fiction. I would take it back to, like, Sidney Bristow from Alias, especially, because that was JJ Abrams. But even if you look at, like, Black Widow from Avengers and River from Firefly. Or
Dark Angel, where they were, like, actually created to fight.
That in American culture, that's traditionally a very feminine, like, that's a female role. And so it's cool to see that with a guy. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
But then that leads directly into my number one biggest problem with the movie. Should I wait? Should I say it now?
Go ahead.
Okay. My number one biggest problem with the movie, and I only had a couple other major ones, but this really perturbed me. Immediately off the bat, we're drawn into Finn's story where he is put into battle for the first time and he sees how devastating it is and he can't be a part of it anymore and he has to get out. It's very compelling and very interesting. And like I said, he has to hold his friend in his arm as he dies and run around with his blood on his armor. And he immediately on a dime turns around and starts killing stormtroopers that he's been raised with left and right, gladly, not having any sort of moral conflict about it, and going woohoo the whole time. Which, like I said, is very traditional Star Wars, but also makes it seem like you developed his entire personality just so you could have one character in the movie tell you, oh, this is how the Death Star is built, and these are how these guys react, and it makes him seem like a plot device. It goes entirely against his character and any sort of mood you had. And it's a little creepy. It's really creepy.
I hope they address it in the next couple movies. They have 2 movies to address it.
Right, but if there's anyone who can sympathize with stormtroopers, it would be him.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, and I know some fans might be like, oh no, you're wrong and blah blah blah, but we don't know his background.
Right.
You could say that he was born and raised into the Order, or
no, we know that he was born and raised into the Order, that he has been trained from a young age to become a stormtrooper, that he worked basically as a space janitor for a while, and that mission on Jakku was his first mission. We know a lot about him.
But I'm talking about, like, specifically birth, we don't know where, like, he came from.
Right, but we know a lot about his upbringing.
Yeah, we know about his upbringing. I'm just saying we don't know, like, where he came from. So I'm proposing that, because he's black, I know this is stupid, but he might be related to Calrissian.
The reason why I would say that that's probably not stupid is because that's totally what they're doing with everybody in the franchise. Oh, you're somebody important to the story. Well, you must be, directly related by blood to somebody from the original trilogy. It's not really that dumb, and I'm not even going to say, like, the fact that he and Calrissian look nothing alike matters, because, honestly, Luke and Leia did not look that much alike. Well, especially for twins.
That and...
I know that they're not always identical twins, but they really don't look very similar at all.
That and sometimes if you have... if you're married to somebody and he might look more like the mom or something like that.
Well, right.
That happens. So.
Right. But, I don't know how you would get to a point where the son of Calrissian becomes a stormtrooper from birth? Or from at least very early infancy?
Yeah. Well, which is why I didn't say that it was his son. I was just saying that, like, there might be, like, a Calrissian tie.
Possibly, yeah.
In his family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I have 4 major issues. 2 of them are with Finn and 1 of them's with Rey. The other thing with Rey is, like I said, she's kind of like Finn, where I really like her backstory and where she comes from, but she is way too good at everything. What the fuck, man? Like, yeah. She's a better pilot, or at least as good as Han Solo? How did that happen?
Also, she understands ways of the Force that I don't think she would understand. Like, the whole scene where she's trying to Jedi mind trick the stormtrooper, she's never seen that.
Right. She hasn't sat down as a little kid and watched A New Hope, you know?
And also, I don't know how common knowledge the Jedi mind trick would be, and that she would just think to do that. Like, that doesn't... Like, if she had a master, or if she saw another Jedi do it, I could understand her trying to do it herself. But not having that doesn't make a lot of sense that she would just try to do that.
Right, exactly. And not only that, I get trying to show how much raw strength in the Force, or whatever, she might have by having her have, one big moment, but you can't give her, like, 3 or 5 big moments where she's, like, incredibly powerful with no training.
I have one question, though. Is that relation when Kylo Ren was trying to get the information out of her, is that where she got it from? Because, I mean... Right. Like, but, like, still that's...
But if you cut down, like, all of her use of the Force to... Yeah. Her trying to protect herself from Kylo Ren, and her drawing on the Force during her fight with Kylo Ren, you could leave it at that, and that would make sense. And that would be at least, like, plausible. Like, yeah, she's basically like an Avenger, like a superhero where she's, like, unbelievably naturally talented, but you can't really do more than that with no training.
Right, and that was a little bit of a stretch for me. And
definitely.
It, like... And I like the movie. If anybody's like, oh, well, you didn't like it. No. I like the movie. I just, there's
That's
certain
really
logical fallacies in the movie, and certain things that, lead the suspension of belief. Of course, it's a fiction film. But sometimes with fictional films, there is an understanding that you have to follow the rules and logic that the films have brought up. We have 6 films, regardless of midichlorians and bullshit, that have established Star Wars rules. That's a little stretching. Definitely. I need some explanation. They have 2
somehow
movies.
She's stronger than both Anakin and Luke.
Yeah.
No way.
Well, I'm assuming that these movies are making the other that Yoda talked about be Rey.
Well, of course, yeah.
Which means that, of course, she has a stronger sense of the Force. This is speculation. This is not spoiler. Some of you might consider this spoiler, so if you want to skip a bit, I'll let you know. I am curious, and based on the trailer, if anybody saw the trailer, The trailer said, "The Force is strong in my family. I have it. My father has it. I have it. And now you have it."
My sister has it, now you have it, yeah.
Yeah. "The Force is strong in my family. My father has it. I have it. My sister has it. And now you have it." They already said the Force is strong in my family, so I'm pretty sure that there's a family relation with Rey and Luke.
Well, there's also another thing. What if, because this line is not in the movie, or at least in this movie, I should say, what if that's a conversation he was supposed to have with Kylo Ren? Where Luke is trying to bring Kylo away from the dark side.
That could be a case. I don't know if there's stuff left on the cutting room floor, or whether
maybe it's just being pushed back.
Yeah, I mean.
But then you also have to somehow explain how Luke's lightsaber is calling to her, and that is now her token Inception style sort of thing.
Unless the whole concept of the title, The Force Awakens, being that now the people are getting the Force that aren't related to the Skywalker family.
Oh shit, I can't tell you that because you haven't seen it. Damn it!
What?
It's about Buffy, and I can't say it. But everybody who watches Buffy on this podcast, you know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Like, you'll just hear that, and you'll be like, oh yeah, like in season 7, yes. Or, I guess in the finale. It was really the finale, I guess. Anyway. Yeah, I guess so, but I mean... And... I'm sorry, I don't mean to just, like, go on and on and on, but we sort of keep segueing into, like, my big problems. My other big problem was... So... Okay, so she is somehow a perfect pilot, despite the fact that she's probably never flown. Or at least never flown much.
Oh, it's a movie. Just enjoy it.
Just enjoy it.
No, this is not what All Walks of Film does.
No, but she's also somehow a much, much stronger Jedi than untrained, and has better control than every Jedi and Sith that we have seen in every Star Wars movie. And she feels this very strong connection with Luke's lightsaber. She doesn't want anything to do with it, so Maz is trying to give it to her. Maz gives it to a space janitor who has no use of the Force and basically only knows how to use a blaster, as far as I can tell. And it's like, oh, you can totally use this. Here, take it. Use it as a weapon. And he's like, okay. And he uses it before Rey ever uses it, more often than Rey ever uses it, and with way too much, like, skill and finesse and ability than an untrained non-Jedi should really be able to use something that's supposed to be in this universe a very special link specifically between Vader and Luke and Rey. That is just fucking weird. Who made that creative decision to have that happen?
I think it was partly to keep the lightsaber available. So she gives it to Finn, who is with Rey, so that if he gets decommissioned, she can use the lightsaber if she changes. So that's Maz's way of, like, understanding the Force and possibly foreseeing the future.
But, like, I get that he has to give it to Rey.
Yeah.
Because he's madly in love with her and whatever. But, like, you... as a writer, you can write it any number of ways. But for instance, she could be like, make sure this gets to Rey. Okay, I will. He picks up a gun off the ground, because there are weapons everywhere, and uses that as his main weapon until Kylo takes it from him, and then Rey uses the Force to, like, whew, it is my lightsaber, biatch, you know, whatever. You could have it go any number of ways. You also could have it get to her by not Finn. You could have anything happen, but, like, that's just a weird decision to have the, you know, establish this very special sacred connection and then have most of it have nothing to do with that. It's super weird. It just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I mean, and there were several parts of the movie that just, felt like slightly off. Han Solo's interactions with the other bounty hunters.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was interesting. Like I saw that, but it was kind of like an abandonment of Han Solo's character arc to have him like owe people money again.
Yet again. Like
yeah,
he's never gonna learn. He's still like 60 years old, still doing it.
I mean, like...
But we got to see the dude from Raid Redemption.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
And that was cool.
Take away one sin from this movie. Ding!
Yeah, I mean, this... And I personally didn't like Maz. I thought her design was uninspired.
I liked her little goggly things.
Her almost being an exact like replica of Yoda, but like a female Yoda because Rey is female as well. It was just like, it. I mean, it, and the fact that she's small and she's kind of goofy
and she's all wrinkly.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little too on the nose for me as far as like, oh well, this is our trilogy's Yoda. I mean, there were several parts of the movie where it's like,
charming.
Oh, well, we have this like Death Star, and we have like
Darth Vader, and we have like Luke and Leia, and like Han Solo, and like R2-D2. I get your point, but at the same time, I liked Maz's character. Like, if you took away all the part where she was spouting off just expositional shit that people need to know to get the plot moving, she was funny.
Yeah.
And she was, like, kind of interesting. Like, the part where she's like, you're old enough, you live long enough, you see the same eyes on different people, and you want to run. Like, that didn't feel particularly Yoda-ish. That felt cool. And her whole thing about, like, Chewie's my boyfriend was cute.
I thought that part was cute.
Yeah. It has had more of that. Also, kind of a waste to bring Lupita Nyong'o in for that. I mean, not that she did a bad job, because I don't think that's possible, but, like, you don't need to have someone as gorgeous and talented as Lupita Nyong'o to not have her for her looks and not really have her for her talent either. She didn't have any material to work with.
Well, I mean, that is kind of like the Star Wars thing. I mean, there were so many actors that were in this movie that we apparently didn't notice. Like, Simon Pegg was in the movie, and like several different other people.
Snoke was Andy Serkis, which I didn't realize because during the movie I never put together that the giant golem hologram was even Snoke.
Yeah, Snoke was weak.
All the villains were weak. Oh my god. Like,
we'll get to Kylo Ren in a second.
We'll get to Kylo Ren, but even disregarding Kylo Ren and everything with that, the chick, Captain Phasma or whatever her name was, seemed somewhat like, oh, she does stuff. She might be interesting. Okay, cool. Nothing happens.
To be fair, we've only seen this movie once, so like we don't have the characters like set in our brains and stuff.
Well, her name's something Phasma, I know that. And then I was following along all the stuff they were saying about Snoke as a character, but even though we kept going back and seeing this giant hologram thingamajig that was, again, taken straight out of the Avengers, or the MCU with every bad guy who's this giant dude sitting on a throne, I never put it together that the Snoke that they were talking about the whole movie was this weak ass. Like, what the fuck is this?
Also, like, Andy Serkis is like one of the greatest CGI actors, and you have him basically do nothing.
Nothing. No emotion. No action. He's a physical actor. I mean, yes, he has an amazing range, but he's a very physical actor, and you just kind of had him so you could say, look, Andy Serkis is in our movie, which, to be fair, will be enough to get me in a seat.
My official prediction is I think Snoke is way smaller.
Well, duh. I mean, he's overcompensating for something.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like Yoda's size.
Yeah, because I mean, I was just looking at it in the theater. My first thought was like, this is fucking weird. He's not that big. He's not there.
Yeah.
And we've never seen a hologram that big, but also, like, if he's not that big, don't make... That's just weird.
I did think it was interesting that the hologram was deceptive. Like, it, you know, we first think that that's a real character there, and then it's revealed it's a hologram. I thought that was an interesting touch that we haven't seen in Star Wars.
But, like, he's this guy who's in control of everything, but he can't move or do anything, and I think... I personally am just bored of that villain. I've seen that a lot, and I'm just
and plus it's like, wow, who does this remind you of? Thanos, any?
Yeah, right?
Like, yeah, Thanos got out of his chair like once, and we're still waiting for this Infinity War, which everybody says is going to be awesome, but, yeah, you got to do more than just get out of a chair for me to be hyped up for you. And I understand that he might be cool in the comics, but just because a character is cool in the comics doesn't mean that they're going to be cool in a movie.
Especially considering how much they're deviating from the comic strips. Like, I saw the new Civil War trailer, and I already had my doubts about Civil War. I was not going to go see this movie. I'm sorry, because I was like, Civil War is huge. It needs to be its own movie. You can't have Civil War be Captain America 3, because you will spend
it is
most
its
of
own
the time.
Movie. Captain America 3 is Civil War.
No, because here's why. I thought, okay, well, you're going to have to push off some stuff in Civil War to make way for Captain America's personal story. And big surprise, the first trailer is only Captain America's story and him and Buckley beating up Iron Man to sort of loosely tie in something from Civil War. I'm like, yeah, this is not going to be a Civil War movie. This is going to be a Captain America 3 movie.
Yeah, it's Captain America versus Iron Man. And, I mean, that is a part of the Civil War. But if you read the comics, there was an action
That's a lot
where...
that they're pushing out of the way.
Yeah,
oh
I mean,
God.
Civil War is something that, like, a trilogy could cover it, but that might even be a little too small based on like how expansive it was in the comics. That should be its own
series. Like, you have the Captain America series, you have the Thor series, you should have the Infinity War series, like the Avengers series, and you should have the Civil War series.
Well, there is an Infinity War series. There's just not going to be a Civil War series.
But that's what I'm saying, is that there should... Whatever. It doesn't matter. I give up. I'm out. I'm fucking out, because MCU does not include X-Men, so I can officially just be like, nope, I'm out. I'm done. Avengers 2 bored me to tears. Yeah. I knew what was coming with Civil War, and now that I've seen the trailer, I'm just like, I'm done.
I don't know. I'm excited because I liked Captain America 2. Mm-hmm. I thought Winter Soldier was a really good movie. I honestly think it's the best movie in the MCU, and if it's anything to that level, I'll like it. So, I mean, I'm not excited about the MCU, but I'm excited with Captain America stuff because the first movie was like okay. There were some interesting elements, but I think that character has had a progression that has been interesting. The films have been good.
But part of the reason why I'm getting out of MCU is the whole reason why I have a hard time breaking into certain comic book series is because there's too much going on at this point. I can't just tune in whenever I want because I still have not caught up on all the individual Avengers, you know, different branching off movies.
You gotta watch all the Thor movies. You gotta watch all the Hulk movies. You gotta watch all the Captain America.
They all
you gotta
fit
watch
together like a nice
Iron
puzzle.
Man. And, yeah.
They all fit together like a nice puzzle. It's just I've seen enough of the puzzle to know that I'm not gonna like the picture I get. To be fair, bored. I've moved on.
The Hulk movies you can skip them because apparently that Bruce Banner isn't the same as the Bruce Banner that Ed Norton or Eric Bana played. So yeah, it's just, sorry about that.
There's just not enough there. Like there's a couple things, but it's not enough to keep me going through movie after movie after. It's just I can't.
I will say I'm a little worried about the Star Wars movies that aren't part of
the trilogy, the saga. Yeah.
These off-branch movies that are kind of one-offs. To kind of feed the Star Wars crack addicts, because let's face it, many of us are Star Wars crack addicts.
Well,
like,
also
you know,
Disney
a little bit of Star Trek. I mean, whoa.
No, JJ Abrams, it's acceptable.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. A little bit.
Can we say for a second, since JJ Abrams has been so busy on Star Wars, fucking Justin Lin had to fill in for him for the next Star Trek movie. Fuck you, Hollywood. God damn it.
Yeah, just because Fast and the Furious 5 was good, I don't know. I mean, like, I don't watch those movies. That it's just not for me.
He made the worst True Detective episodes. Multiple episodes. Fuck him.
Yeah, how many? Didn't he direct like 4 episodes?
He directed the first 4 episodes. Ugh.
Yeah, of season 2 of True Detective, and like.
And now you give him like God damn it! Stop rewarding this guy. He does not have a good filmography.
Well,
just like
I mean,
ugh.
The thing that happens though is people see somebody's success once, and then they're just like, we're gonna give you the keys to everything.
It's not like he did the first Fast and the Furious movie that spawned the franchise. He did one in the middle.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna say anything about it one way or another because the only thing of any Fast and the Furious movie I've seen is the one scene with Gina Carano and Gal Gadot that basically proved point blank that Gina Carano needed to be Wonder Woman. We've really gotten off topic, but part of it is because we saw all of these movies as trailers to this, and a lot of podcasts give like a trailer section before the movie, and we just put it in the middle, I guess. I will say I am officially predicting that next year, minus Deadpool and X-Men, comic book movies are gonna fucking blow, and this includes Suicide Squad and Dawn of Justice. I am fed up with Dawn of Justice, and I was hyped.
Yeah.
I was way hyped, and I saw the first trailer, and I was like, half of it's really cool. Half of it is really cool, because this is like the Zack Snyder trick. Yeah. He gives you like the good stuff up front, so you want more. So I'm like, okay, this part sucks, and this part sucks, but like, this part is really good. Cool. And now I get this new trailer where I'm like, yeah, Lex Luthor is the Riddler. Guess what? The Riddler is my least favorite character. Gal Gadot still sucks. And her pointy shoulders really gross me out, by the way. Just saying. And I'd seen Gal Gadot do like an action sequence once, and it really blew, and I was really worried about that. Apparently she's just not going to do that. She's just going to hold her shield up and look pretty, which again is the Zack Snyder way. What do you expect?
Yeah, then, I mean, the only good woman that Zack Snyder's ever had in any of his movies is Lena Headey in 300.
She can't be bad.
Yeah. She's like Michael Fassbender. Like, there are certain actors that just can't give bad performances.
Right. And that does not come down to Zack Snyder doing anything. But then it's the same thing where like, oh, we don't have Batman versus Superman. We have Clark Kent versus Bruce Wayne. Interesting. And then the whole rest of the trailer is, oh, no, it's going to be Batman versus Superman clones. And then it's going to be Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman versus Doomsday and Aquaman and 3 other characters.
For any of you people are like, what are you talking about Superman clones? Okay, first of all, if you read the Doomsday stuff, then there are Superman clones. Right. And it's probably coming from Zod, of course, which they showed the dead body in the trailer, and it's probably if Doomsday kills Superman, which may or may not happen. Movies tend to fuck up universes.
Right.
Whatever. They're all going to be fighting. They're all going to be fighting Doomsday, and then they're going to form the Justice League and all this stuff. And yeah, you know what convoluted movie that I think of when I see this trailer? I think of Spider-Man 3. Yeah. And Spider-Man 3 just had 3 villains.
And that was too much. And then even Spider-Man 2 had like 6 villains. And we saw what happened to that franchise.
Yeah, I mean, like, and only one of them was interesting, in each movie. Like, right. Electro was the only interesting villain in Spider-Man 2. Mm-hmm. All the other ones sucked. Yeah. Especially the Rhino.
Yeah. I don't know. He was kind of funny, but he was literally shoehorned into the last 90 seconds of the film.
And also like
what do you do with 90 seconds?
Also, a way to like throw away a great actor like Paul Giamatti and like a role where it's basically like, oh look, Spider-Man.
Well, that's probably the only reason I even liked Rhino was just because it was Paul Giamatti.
Yeah.
But then, then there's Suicide Squad, which looks like great casting, and other than that, we're going back to Adam West, Joel Schumacher territory. Great. It's like they knew, oh, we can't top Heath Ledger, but we have to do something with Joker, so let's just go ahead and not do that. Yeah. Let's just go ahead and get people pissed so we can move on. And then we can become the new Godzilla 98, where we can make another movie and they'll be like, well, it's not Suicide Squad, so we like it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what happened with Star Wars 7. I mean, a lot of people were like, it's not the prequels. But I
don't know. Star Wars Episode 7, like, unlike Godzilla like 2014 and what's another franchise that people liked and they only liked it because of
Well, I've heard people say, namely your buddy, say that it's acceptable because it's not the prequels. I disagree with that. I think it is Episode 7. It is Star Wars, unlike the prequels.
Yeah.
We just don't talk about the prequels. You know, this is Star Wars.
Yeah.
And let's be honest for a minute. It's not as if the original trilogy is perfect. I'm not saying it sucks, or that it's bad, or that it's not great. It is great. I'm just saying, like, yes, we have problems with it, but if it belongs with them.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm gonna say a couple filmic things I really enjoyed about this movie. Is one, they kept all the like really awkward editing transitions from the original series. I was fine with that. I mean, I do make fun of the original trilogy for having the wipes and the Harlequin diamond fades and stuff like that, but it felt nice. It was nostalgic to like see that again. I liked that a lot. But also, you know, I really like JJ Abrams' take on the opening scene from New Hope, where in the original iconic opening scene, you see the underbelly of the model.
Star Destroyer.
The Star Destroyer model, and you see like all this detail, and you know, it's great. It's great. It's amazing. It's just one of those shots, like 2001. You know the shot. So, you know, he has to compete with that. And I think it was really clever to have the planets and then to have the eclipsed spaceship. I thought that was a really cool choice.
Yeah, it was good.
That made me super happy. I was like, this is awesome. This is getting me pumped. I'm on board. Yes.
The imagery that gave me chills and that I thought was absolutely awesome was seeing the Star Destroyers on the planet of Jakku. Mm-hmm. Like, I saw it in the trailer, seeing it in the movie just gave me more chills, and the fact that Rey was
living in one,
living in one and scrapping, you know, for parts and selling them for little to no money, and then
food. They don't even pay her. They feed her.
Yeah,
but it's not food, or I mean, it's not money. It's food.
Yeah,
which I liked. I liked details like that.
It was interesting too because it was like this really shitty ramen that turned into bread.
It was, like you're talking about like the Maru-chan like little soft like pouches that's like powder. Yeah. She like puts it in water and stirs it, and it's like, oh, what is that? And then you see it rise into bread, and it's like, whoa, that's cool.
All right, so now we're going to talk about a character that shares the same name as me.
Wait, okay. Yes. How pissed are you? How pissed are you?
Well, I will say that it was kind of funny because like there have been times in my life where I've had rage issues, and I was kind of watching this movie going, "Am I really that bad?" But I think Adam Driver was a weird choice for him, mainly because the first time I ever saw him was on a TV show called Girls, where he plays like kind of this creepy stalkerish guy that has like a really weird voice. He kind of talks like this, and like, so I gotta show you a clip because like you gotta see it. Like if you're like, oh my god, this actor's so awesome, dude, watch Girls. Like watch what he does in Girls and be like, it might change your mind about the actor. Mm-hmm. But I thought he gave a decent performance, especially in the scene where, spoiler, if you haven't stopped yet, stop now. He kills Han Solo.
Right. And yeah, that's really the only scene I liked him in. I really feel like they needed to save the unmasking scene for that scene because it doesn't do anything to have him take his mask off in front of Rey. That did not work at all. It would have worked a lot better if that was the first time you saw him. But at the same time, I'm also glad that we saw that before because it saved me that moment, which was a very well acted moment and very well put together and a great moment in the film. It saved me from experiencing that whole his face is weird sort of moment that I had the first time he took his mask off. I was just like, you look kind of like Jon Snow's cousin. This is really odd. And I didn't know him from anything.
Who's also a bastard, Snow.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't know him from anything, so I didn't have a like, oh, it's that guy. You know, I was just like,
yeah,
you look kind of not what I expected. You've got like nice skin and long hair, and you look kind of like my cousin. And he does look kind of like my cousin. It's a little weird. And I'm just kind of like, I mean, at least I didn't experience that during this big dramatic moment that he acted very well.
Yeah, I mean, that moment was a very very well acted moment.
Very.
And I also liked his powers at the beginning, like when he froze the
laser
blaster.
Blast? Yeah.
The blaster blast in midair.
Yeah.
And was able to do other stuff, and then it was just still in midair, and then like
and then
shock
he let it
fin.
go. That was cool. And it makes a lot of sense to me that he would have that strong of force because A, he's been honing himself for a long time, and B, he's part of the dark side. C, he's like this major political figure. You know, he has to be really good to have that much power. And D, is directly related to Darth Vader and Luke and Leia. Like, that, it all makes a lot more sense for him to have that, and for him to have like a very unique personality set where he can do mind control and body control, and he doesn't do the choking thing. He just beats the shit out of his equipment, which I liked and disliked because it does come across as very, you know, Anakin Skywalker emo, which is like, no, but it's
I will
different
say,
from Vader,
I will say, this is the Anakin Skywalker that I wish I had.
He's better than Anakin by a long shot. Yeah,
like if you're gonna give me like a whiny character that's like an Anakin.
He's not whiny, he's just really emo. Emo does not necessitate whiny, you know.
Yeah.
As we see with this character.
I did like the scene where one of the guys said that things were fucking up, and instead of Darth Vader, who, you know, essentially just chokes a bitch whenever that happens.
Yeah, to the point where nobody around them even notices anymore.
Yeah, like if you wanna have some entertaining moments, like go back and watch the original trilogy and like look at when people fuck up and he just chokes them out and like other people are just like, oh, yep.
Do.
Yep, Darth Vader's doing his thing again.
Yeah.
But no, like
Crossblade is still dumb. I mean, at least they use the hilts, kind of. But, I mean, we both said this, and then we went on the internet and saw that everybody on the internet said the same thing. The scythe handle would have worked a lot better.
Yeah, like...
It's weird to have the crossblade.
We personally think that instead of having a hilted blade, if the blades on the side were slightly angled upward...
Right, because it's kind of awkward to go from a mythology that's rooted in Eastern Asian weaponry, because a lightsaber is a katana without, that's not curved, not the curved blade. But if you look at the way a katana is built, it has the curved blade and it goes directly into the straight hilt, and then you wrap the hilt and you put a slight guard, so then... You know, if a sword slides down, it doesn't immediately chop your hand off. But you also don't put your hand directly up to the hilt. You don't do that because you keep your hands on the end.
Not when you're holding a broadsword.
No, that's what I'm saying. With the katana, you hold the end, and the rail, it's a much smaller guard, and it's just there to block a blade. It's not there to give you any sort of other protection. But like you said, you're transitioning from to East Asian weaponry into classical European weaponry with a broadsword, where that is supposed to protect your hand and give you like a certain amount of weight, and you do put your hand right up to the guard. No. You know, if you're using a rapier or a broadsword, you put it right up to the guard. And you can't do that with a crossblade. And whether this... Because I've seen so many online debates about whether or not this would actually happen, of you might accidentally chop your own fingers off. There is sort of a thing of, even if it's true that that would never happen, or that really should never happen, if you see that and your first thought is that will probably harm you before it harms them, regardless of whether or not it's true, if it's just going to give everyone that impression, just don't do it. Change it.
Yeah, but I kind of believe it with his character now. Like, it adds, you know, a little bit more edge to it or whatever. You know, it's a little bit more imposing.
Well, I guess it also helps a little bit with, like, his reckless, semi-self-destructive nature. Yeah, so, like, having a blade that could literally hurt him, which is what his personality does. Yeah. It kind of works to symbolize him as a person, and I wouldn't be surprised if he actually does hurt himself at some point. In the next 3 movies by having a weapon like this. Right. I also thought it was super weird how, like... I kind of hope they do that. I also thought it was super weird that, like, the light on his lightsaber kind of went up in flames. Like, it doesn't work as, like, a halo around, like, a light core, which I didn't really like in the prequels. They kept that bit from the prequels. I like it more in the original trilogy, where it just sort of looks, like, really fuzzy. Like, it really just looks like a bunch of light particles held together by the Force. You know, nothing's really tangibly there. As opposed to the prequels where it's like this core and then it just sort of emits light. Like, it looks like a toy lightsaber, you know. But in this one, like, you see the core and the light, instead of just sort of, like, looking like it's emitted from that core, looks like flames, and it, like... Well, I think that was partly... I can't describe it with words. I'll describe it with sounds. Mad Max out, just like... But I think they probably did that just to give it a little bit of a interesting... Based on the concepts, you know, because a lot of this movie is based on the blueprints of... New Hope. Yeah. Of A New Hope. Ralph McQuarrie originally designed the lightsabers with the... kind of fiery edge to it. Like, if you look at the picture of A New Hope, there is a fiery aspect to the lightsaber. Like, it's like a fire blade, which we've seen in movies where they put, like, gasoline or something. Yeah. Yeah, on, I mean, not gasoline, but, like, they light a sword on fire. Yeah, they light a sword on fire and then they, like, fight with it. Right, okay. But, I mean... I wasn't saying I dislike that. I'm not entirely sure what that means yet, I guess. But I don't inherently like it or dislike it. It's just something new. Yeah. So Kylo Ren, I'm still sort of... I liked all the other new additions, minus the other villains, and him I'm very half and half with. And it really will depend on how he develops, because everybody in the universe who has seen this movie knows he is not dead. There is, like, no tension. He is not dead, and we all fucking know it. Yeah. I mean, I've heard speculation that Han Solo might not be dead either. No, he is dead, and I've heard people say that, like, oh, he died too soon, and regardless of how you feel about him dying now, Harrison Ford is not coming back, because he doesn't want to come back. He didn't want to do this, and he only did this so he could get another Indiana Jones movie. He's dead because he doesn't... They need him to... He needed to leave, so they killed him off. And to be fair, at least we saw him die. And to be fair, we've never really seen somebody, like, really die like that and come back in the living flesh. I mean, Uncle Ben was still totally around all the time, but, you know, he wasn't physically there. So maybe we'll see Harrison Ford Blue Ghost. But no, because Harrison Ford's not a Jedi. Yeah, he's not connected with the Force. But he believes in the power of the Force. Do you think he could appear to Kylo? He could. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
That would be interesting because then that would change like what our perceptions of the Force. Maybe
the midichlorians were sexually transferred into him like an STD with the Force. No.
Oh my god. Fucking midichlorians. Like I like the fact that the movie almost went out of its way to not reference the prequels in almost every shape and form. There was no talk about Gungans. There was no talk about...
The only thing, like I said, was the design of the lightsaber.
Yeah. Well,
and even then they fixed the color back to blue.
And then you had the heavily CGI monster that was in the Millennium Falcon. Like on the space station.
Oh, those guys. I really liked that scene, by the way. I really enjoyed everything to do with that. Like, I know what you said about the bounty hunter things. It was just kind of like, dude, really? But at the same time, the actual thing of the monsters being let loose and them like running around. In the,
my issues with the bounty hunter thing was it just felt like, oh, well, you know, Han Solo's bounty hunter.
Well,
like,
his appearance was super sudden because what was that ship he was on, and what is he doing with his life now, and why did he pick up the Millennium Falcon?
Yeah, and
anyway?
why is he not with Leia and like?
Well, no, we know all about that. Well, we know most of that. We know why he's not with Leia, and we know most of why, because. Yeah. Kylo Ren turned to the dark side and he left, and then when a couple loses a child, it's devastating and they break up almost all the time.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with them.
And then
they
they're trying to get back together in the movie and...
Yeah. And by the way, why the fuck did General Leia... Hey, I like the upgrade because there's no reason why Leia is a princess. Princesses look pretty and sit on their asses, and that's not what she does. She's a fucking political figure who runs around and gets shit done, and I like that. Now she's been a general and she's doing all this stuff to like find her brother and be part of the rebellion, and she does nothing in this movie.
But she will always be royalty to me.
Except for the part where she looks like Hillary Clinton. That was super weird.
Yeah, somebody mentioned that in the thing.
In what thing?
In the movie. Somebody mentioned, they said
in the theater?
Yeah, in the movie.
In the movie, she will always be royalty to me.
Yeah,
I thought you said the
that.
Hillary Clinton thing. Like somewhere
no.
in Star Wars, someone said no, that would be super weird. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, the very last time you see her, she's wearing the blue power suit that Clinton likes to wear, and she has her hair coiffed up in this very not Leia-like.
And they even mentioned oh, you did something with your hair, and then
no, she didn't. This was before then. I don't know what he was talking about, except for the fact that her hair looks different because she's older, because she still had the braided ring around her head.
Yeah, I thought that was weird too, and it was like, is Princess Leia, I mean, like, how many fucking hairstyles does she do, like, in a movie?
Right, exactly. But
like,
also, that was a hairstyle from the old series.
Yeah, except for the first movie, where she just keeps it in cinnamon buns the whole time.
No, I know what you mean, but I'm saying, in the original trilogy, she does wear her hair in that little halo.
Yeah.
She's worn that before. That's not new. I think he just was, like, trying to say something, because then she was like, you have the same jacket. He's like, no, it's new. I liked seeing everybody again, though. Like, at least we had one more movie to see everybody. Except for Mark Hamill for a second. Gareth Edwards style.
I don't know. We'll see more.
Yeah,
we'll see more. Yeah.
And we had enough in the movie. Like, I don't know how much more you even could have put Mark Hamill in the movie, because I'm fine with him just being at the tail end of it, and getting us ready for the next movie. That's okay.
I saw Mark Hamill actually had put in his Twitter when he read the script of The Force Awakens, and it makes total sense now. He said, "I'm speechless." And that's probably the funniest thing he's said in a while. So.
Oh, shut the fuck up! Mark Hamill is awesome.
Mark Hamill is awesome, but like
even being in Kingsman Service was hilarious.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill is
and
awesome.
he's been in the Batman Arkham games, and
yeah.
like apparently he's gonna be in The Killing Joke.
Yeah. I love Mark Hamill for this. Every time he's like, "Hey, so you guys, I'm kind of done. I'm gonna stop doing the Joker." All the fans go, "No, don't leave us!" And he's like, "Okay, I'll come back, you guys." Yeah. I love it.
No, like Mark Hamill has to be the Joker until he dies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, he can die as Luke
Harrison
Skywalker.
Ford can stop being Han Solo, but Mark Hamill cannot stop being the Joker.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. Nope. Not happening.
Nope. Not happening.
He can even stop being Luke.
Yeah, well, apparently he is, because now he looks super, super like Obi-Wan Kenobi, so...
Yeah.
Which, intentionally so, I would think.
Yeah, which we might have him... I really hope that it isn't like the battle where he kills Obi-Wan... Oh, not Obi-Wan, Luke... Where Kylo Ren kills not Obi-Wan, Luke, and then...
Yes, I see what you mean. Like, completely redo that same fight, but with Kylo and
Luke
I hope they
don't do that, just because, like, you have plenty of opportunities to do something new.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so...
Well, that's the thing, too, with this movie in particular, is it was struggling to try to show that, yes, we are a part of the original trilogy. And also, it was JJ Abrams at the hilt. We saw this with Star Trek, especially with Into Darkness. He is a huge nerd and will do a lot to really go back to the origins and have a lot of little in-jokes and, like, really geek out in the film about stuff from the original source material. So, having him do this movie, you knew it was going to kind of be very much the same way that Fury Road is Road Warrior, even though it's a continuation. It's also a remake, but he's not doing the next one. So, and the writers from Empire Strikes Back are doing episode 8, so I feel fairly hopeful for episode 8.
And you have the director of Looper and... Ozymandias, Breaking Bad's Ozymandias directing the next episode. Mm-hmm. I think we're in good hands.
Right, and especially now that I know that Disney isn't going to fuck it up just by being Disney.
Well, here's the thing. All they have to do is make a good movie. They're going to make the money, but if they make a good movie, they make even more revenue.
Well, of course, I agree with that, but...
Especially for the third one, which they want... Disney wants to see a progression of box office return.
Right, they want each one to top the last one.
Yeah, so in order to do that, you actually have to make good movies. You can't just market off the brand if you're actually trying to build something even higher than what it is.
But like I said with the Muppets, I was so disillusioned by Disney taking on another franchise, another product like that with established characters and actually doing anything decent with them. I really was. So with that fear assuaged?
I don't
assuaged?
know.
Anyway.
I don't know what word you're saying. You keep using these words. I do not think they mean what you think they mean.
But you always do that with quotes where you misquote everything, including that line.
Okay, whatever.
It's not the first time you've misquoted that line, too, but it's songs and... Anyway. You try so hard to sing songs and you can't do it because you don't know the words. It's especially funny with Take On Me, because he confuses and he says, take me on, take on me. And it's 3 lines and you can't get 2 of them in the right order. You're just like, I want to say fuck you, but it's true, I can't.
No.
It'll be okay, Kylo. Don't have a hissy fit and break your MacBook.
I'm Kylo Ren, I'm gonna have a hissy fit. It was kind of funny because, like, essentially everything about him is just like, Yeah, Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader were like really cool, so I'm just gonna incorporate both of their fucking things into my outfit, even though my helmet looks lame when I take the hood off. Mm-hmm. Which, yeah, holy shit, did that helmet look lame with that hood off.
Well, also, there's not really anything distinctive about his outfit or his face or anything about him. He just sort of...
Yeah, I don't like this little silver layered thing on his face. Like it's just uninspired.
Well, I hate to say this, but it just looks like vaguely generic Star Wars. Kind of the same way that Adele's new album just feels like vaguely generic Adele, even though her original album
it kind of feels
had a lot of personality. Star Wars has a lot of personality, but somehow you made something very generic feeling. Like, there's nothing... There's no, like, tone of Kylo Ren or look of Kylo Ren.
I was a little disappointed that there wasn't more alien languages in the movie, because that's one of the things that I liked.
Yeah, everybody spoke English.
No, there was alien language in this movie, unlike the prequels where every fucking alien speaks English for whatever reason.
No, but like people who shouldn't speak
English.
The
Naboo spoke their own fucking language, but they spoke like broken.
When she goes up to get her rations, there's no reason why that alien should have been speaking English.
Yeah, in fact, she could have spoken English, and then that alien could have
the very first time when she sees R2-D2, she speaks another language, and she was good, by the way. Like, some actors really cannot pull off other languages. It really depends on if they have help or not. Like, I'm not going to blame every actor on Firefly for not being able to speak Chinese.
Chinese is a hard fucking language.
It's a hard fucking language, and they needed to have somebody on that set teaching them how to speak this shit right. Because I'm not going to blame 9 actors for the fact that none of them could speak Chinese. But she either was very good, or she had somebody there who was able to teach her very well.
Yeah.
And
plus,
so
with
there's
Firefly,
no reason why
they
not
only
to
got
showcase it more.
They only got 14 episodes, and like they probably would have improved over time.
Well, we saw that in Castle when he actually speaks Chinese and speaks it very well. And
probably because he got shit from Chinese people going like, "What the fuck, bro?"
Right. Yeah, there's a guy at our school he's Chinese, and he says he wants to like Firefly, but he has a hard time watching it because it sounds like gibberish to him. So anyways, in Castle, he speaks Chinese, and he actually speaks it well. And the chick, I don't even fucking know, is like, "Where'd you learn that?" And he's like, "Oh, from the show that I used to love." And it's like, that would be really cool, except for you never spoke like that on the show. What the fuck, man? But anyway, yeah, like, she clearly is at least bilingual. There's no reason why you couldn't have her do that more. Except for the fact, subtitles, oh no. Because even that conversation didn't have subtitles. Where she says, I think we called him R2-D2 before by accident, but BB-8.
Yeah.
As much as I like BB-8, I hate that name. Mostly because it just looks like B's and 8s look very similar. And it just sort of looks like an amorphic blob.
A8.
Yeah, or like BBB or whatever. Plus, also it reminds me a little bit too much of Death Note, because there's a character who's related to L, whose name is BB. And that shit sucked anyways.
Apparently that was like the original name of R2-D2 or something.
Right, but I don't like it. That's all I'm saying. I don't like it. I don't know what you would have done instead, but... And also, I have a hard time believing that he is the only singular BB-8 droid in the galaxies. Because they say that a couple times.
How many, like, R2 units are there? There are, like, hundreds.
Right. Well, supposedly, we only see R2-D2 and R2-D6, R2-D4.
R2-D4, there's R2-D6. I've seen a lot of different R2 units. There's gray ones, there's red ones.
Yeah, but what's the red one? The one that Luke almost took with him. No, what's the red one that Luke almost took home with him, but it exploded? Was that an R2-D4 and R2-D6?
I don't remember.
Okay, anyways, moving on.
Yeah, like I'm a big fan of Star Wars, but like, and if you start getting into like the really small, like, oh, what is this character's name that was never named in the movie, then I'm just like,
And
I used to know that, but like...
Right. And I will say this, I'm not a fan of Star Wars, and don't get me wrong for a second. Star Wars is great, and I love it, and I enjoy it, but I can very clearly say I'm not a fan in that I know all the names of all the species, and I know all the characters of the minor characters. Like, I can recognize them from the movies, but I don't know anything about the extended universe. I don't know a lot of these. It's not like Mad Max where I am a fan.
I will encourage you, if you're trying to, like, watch Star Wars, I don't really encourage this often, but look on the internet for the despecialized editions. For legal reasons, I can't tell you where to look, but I will tell you that what George Lucas did to Star Wars after the fact sucks, and try to watch it the best you can in as close to the original format as you can.
Mm-hmm. And yes, there were a lot of very good technical touch-ups, but every major change was pretty bad.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I mean, there are plenty of videos that you can go onto other channels and see.
Like, side by side, every change of all the movies. Which, thank you to whoever makes that stuff, by the way, because even just thinking about how much hard effort that is, it's very impressive.
Yeah.
Just so that we can all sit on our couch and, drink and laugh, and basically not do the work ourselves.
Yeah.
You did the work so we can all be lazy. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'll do the work on something else.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Ren actually had the idea of we should do a podcast on each episode of the original trilogy. I told him we probably shouldn't, just because everybody has said everything about Star Wars, and everybody has also said that everybody has said everything about Star Wars. We could say anything we want, but like I said, I'm not an extensive fan. I am a fair weather fan, and Ren is not overtly knowledgeable about it either. And there's just not really a lot of point other than saying, yeah, we like the original trilogy, no duh. So I was just like, we can do the new one because it's new.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are still, really interested to talk about it, but also to not spoil it for everybody.
Yeah, and I
Don't
made
be
it
a spoiler
point.
monster, guys.
Yeah, I mean, even in this podcast, I make it a point not to spoil movies for people. Spoiling movies is something that I do when I'm angry. And
oh yeah, fuck you, spoiler at your face.
Oh yeah, like what I tell people all the time is, I'm up to date on The Walking Dead. Do not spoil Star Wars
Game of Thrones.
And Game of Thrones. Do not spoil Star Wars, or I will spoil both of those for you.
Mm-hmm. I've had so many people, including close relatives of mine, say, don't spoil it. I'm like, I'm a little insulted that you would say that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's... So I just went off, Facebook for a week. Oh
my god, you gave up your social media for a week?
Yeah.
Are you okay? Are you feeling okay? Do we need to get you to emergency care?
Well, to be fair, I use Facebook to find resources for...
Oh, that wasn't a dig at you. That was just a dig at, a person anywhere giving up social media. Anyone who's basically not me and a hermit living under a rock and liking it.
Yeah. But it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we spent a lot of time really bitching about the movie because there were definitely problems, and there were some big problems, not nitpicky problems, but big ones. But overall, every action set piece was very fun and involving. I absolutely love the new good guys, at least. I love the weird dynamic going on between Finn and Rey, mostly because it's not getting too much into the movie, where Finn is just obviously madly in love with Rey, and Rey's just a little bit oblivious to it. And I hope it's not we need to make a whole movie that's only a love story and the two of them macking on each other or something. But I like that. And then just Finn and Poe just immediately best buds and just, this is awesome and we love each other, man. super cool. And it was good seeing everyone back together again, and I really enjoyed seeing the old cast and the new cast really interact, and not sort of like, here's the old cast over here and the new cast over here. And there was definitely parts of the movie that were like, we need to let somebody else take up this mantle. You know, sort of like a coming of age sort of feeling, which should be involved in adding an episode 7 to the original trilogy. That I felt, you know, I had some faith that JJ Abrams, he's a fanboy at heart, and he will do justice, you know. He's not going to do something that goes against the original trilogy. So, there was a lot of good feeling in this movie, and a lot of really funny jokes.
Yeah, it was really funny.
It was really funny. So that was cool, and there's just like there's genuine heart in the movie, and I give a lot of points for heart, you know, because I'm the girl, and I have squishy gooey insides, so.
Yeah. So we will most likely come back to this review. This was kind of like our initial first reaction. If you're interested in us talking about it again, if you have any bitches, gripes and complaints, you can put that in. If you have any compliments for us, we also like to hear those.
But if you give us some talking points, we'll try to address it.
Yes,
if we
definitely.
Do a follow-up.
Definitely, if you have some talking points, if we were wrong about anything.
Which could very easily be the case, considering the fact that this is not our primary fandom.
Right. So, comments below, and either that, or you can email us at allwalksoffilm@gmail.com.
Cool. And just a really quick side note, by the way, because I noticed you were getting really annoyed with this, but I can't help it. I grew up going to church a lot, even though I am not religious, and it really weirded me out to be a non-believer going into a religious environment. But there's like a really weird habit that I have now, where when somebody says, "May the Force be with you," I can't help but say, "and also with you." And I know it's this really weird Christian thing, and I don't mean to, but like, nobody responds to that. That feels weird to just say, "May the Force be with you," and leave it hanging there. I feel obligated to do, "and also with you." I don't know. Is that like really wrong for me to say?
No, it's really interesting because in Star Wars, only one person says, "May the Force be with you," and the person just consumes that, I guess.
Right, but then in this new series, every time it's sort of a thing of "May the Force be with you," and they nod and like accept it or something, and I'm just kind of like, that's such a heavy implication to not be reciprocated. I don't know. It's just anyway. Very, very odd side note, but I can't. I mean, the Force is very obviously supposed to be a religion, so maybe that's why I feel inclined to do something along that nature. But
it's a very Star Wars is very Taoist.
Right, it's not Christian by any means.
Yeah.
But
all
it is
about
supposed
balance to be and all that kind of stuff.
Right, but there's also, do you believe in the Force? And I don't believe in the Force, and this idea of like faith that I don't know. It's just some sort of like weird knee-jerk reaction I have. And I started saying that, and I noticed you, and you were like, "What the fuck is that?" All right, bye guys.
How long is this one? 2 hours.
Over 9,000